In this short video, we'll show you a few different perspectives on reverse parallel parking. Positional awareness is extremely important. See, this time I started a little bit wider. For that reason, I've got a little bit bigger gap between the car in front of me. And for that reason, I had a little bit more margin for error. Now, in the second scenario, I'm going to start to reverse parallel a little bit closer to the car, probably not further than about 70 centimeters. So this time, clearly, I'm not going to have too much of a room to play with. See, the gap has narrowed. It's a lot shorter gap between the car in front and my front left-hand side. You must be mindful of both directions when you're pulling out. So this time this street is relatively wide and I can probably get out without interfering with the car that's coming from the opposite direction, but it's better to wait. Then I can proceed. And the vehicle that's coming from behind, I had a lot of margin to go before they catch up. Remember, there are no identical situations when you're driving a motor vehicle, so you've got to be aware of your position and obviously the situations that you are in. That's why we focus on judgment skills and situational awareness. This example of reverse parallel parking will give you a slightly different angle. If you overshoot the car that you're parking behind, it can create a little bit bigger gaps, even if your vehicle is at a relatively close distance to the car that you're parking behind. Let's see what happens if we line up our vehicle much further from the vehicle that we're parking behind. We shouldn't do this, but at times, it does happen. The trick is get out of that position as soon as possible and correct your path. So this time we had a little bit bigger angle to play with, and obviously the turning was much more sharp, so he's almost gone to a full lock position and then corrected it towards the end of the maneuver. This instance will demonstrate if you start relatively close to the car and if you turn left a lot sharper, potentially you might get too close to the curb and not being able to correct it in time. On the other hand, when you are in a situation where you are just about to hit the curb, it's best to stop the vehicle and correct it. Recover sooner the better, and most assessors in Perth would not even mark you if you manage to correct it and recover in time without too much of a delay. Be aware that you should stop before they hit the brakes for you. This time she started the maneuver pretty close to the blue car and still managed to deviate around it by making a much wider angle and creating a big gap between her front left-hand side and the car that she was parking behind.